Just 2 months to go in this regular season.
So the 35-year-old Lester and the 23-year-old Jack Flaherty, who was very good his last time out. 9 punch-outs against the Houston Astros, and he's really getting much better at the swing and miss. The whiff rate much better in the month of July. Low opponent's slugging percentage means he's keeping the ball in the ballpark. Now, Jack did not win a game in July, but he pitched well, Dan, every time out.
Look at the comparison, June and July for the Cardinals starter tonight. In June, 5 starts, ERA over 7. July, just about 2.5 in 5 starts. Will it carry over to August? The Cardinals are hoping so. Molten Hot Colton, I like it. That's Keith O'Brien that came up with that in our truck. We'll take a look at the Cardinals second baseman coming up. It's fun to be in August and be in contention, and these 3 teams can lay claim to that statement. The Cardinals, the Cubs tied atop the Central, and right behind them, the Brewers, and they'll be in Chicago this weekend. The Cubs, the Cardinals. It's a rubber game in one of the great rivalries in sports. Chicago, St. Louis, next. Cardinals and first place on the line here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Gorgeous night for baseball on the 1st of August, 2019. And with Jim Hayes, Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. 82 degrees our game time temperature. Should be a fun one yet again.
And an important start for the Cardinal right-hander Jack Flaherty. I think the pressure has gotten amped up a bit. Of course, playing the Cubs does that. But Jack Flaherty has to have an August and a September like his July if the Cardinals are going to play in October.
So we wait for the Cardinals to take the field, and here they come. We have had huge crowds in the first 2 games of this series. 46,000 plus game 1. 43 plus last night, and another big one as we wrap up the homestand. It'll be a rare Friday off day for the club tomorrow. Cardinals will fly out to Oakland and take on the A's Saturday and Sunday, and then the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. So
tough road trip.
Yeah, tough game tonight with Lester, and then a tough stretch of 5 there on the West Coast. So Jack Flaherty, start number 22, much better, just like Michaelis and Wainwright here at home. Overall, he is 4-6, and the ERA just over 4.
ERA is going down. His ability to keep the ball in the ballpark has gotten better. And I think the thing with Jack that you always watch is pitch count. And we can kind of overinflate the importance of that, but I think it's extremely important for him. His pitch arsenal includes the slider and the curveball, and that really a good sharp fastball when he's right to corners. And the key is not to get a lot of foul balls and get those 30 pitch innings early on.
Well, the Cubs in their last 9 road series, they are 0-8-1. They have split the first 2 of this series. Matter of fact, the last time they won on the road a series was May 17th to the 19th at Washington. So it's been a long time for them to win a road series. His lineup tonight, Joe Madden has got Jason Hayward batting leadoff and playing center field. Then Nicholas Castellanos picked up from Detroit. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, he's got big numbers against tonight's starter, 8 for 12, couple of homers and a double. The uber talented Javier Baez, Wilson Contreras, Kyle Schwarber, Tony Kemp, utility man that they picked up from Houston, and John Lester, who actually has a home run this year and has driven in 5, but no sacrifices. He'll bat 9th. Around the Horn is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Munoz, the start in left. And that was a late scratch of Tyler O'Neill. Jim Hayes will have a report on that. Then Fowler in center. Martinez in right. Edmund, DeYoung, Wong, and Goldschmidt along the infield. Matt Wieters behind the plate. Around the Horn presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. So Mike Schilt, 2 months to go, and has got his team in a position to potentially win the Central Division. 1 pitch, 1 out.
How's the pitch count so far?
I like it. Anytime you have the early 6:15 starts, especially when you get later in the season and towards fall, it is a tough sun field on that man right there, Jose Martinez, and it'll be the same for Nicholas Castellanos, the right fielder for the Cubs tonight. So here he is making his debut in that Chicago Cub uniform. And he can hit. He's going to add some pop to this lineup. 273 the average with 11 home runs, and he's driven in 37. Castellanos, the home runs may not be high, 11, but 37 doubles to lead all the baseball.
And that's a power number as far as I'm concerned. If you're getting the ball into the gap, now that may have to do with the ballpark he was playing in, and maybe more home runs and less doubles you would expect in a place like Wrigley Field, but certainly still a power number. 37 doubles, that's a bunch.
Good slider on the 2-0.
Good downward tilt. And certainly looking for fastball 2-0.
Can't think that way in 2019,
no.
Can you? The 2-1 pitch. And you hear us say, well, a pitcher will pitch backwards.
Yeah.
And if you can explain that maybe to the fans.
You had a great conversation with Jim Edmonds about that, and I enjoyed it and was listening in and realized, Jimmy's comment was, everybody pitches backwards and no one used to. And the reality is the guys that used to were the people that didn't have as good a stuff.
Little ground ball that rolls foul.
You had to pitch backwards to survive, and pitching backwards essentially is throwing breaking pitches and changeups on fastball counts and throwing fastballs on breaking ball counts. And so the hitter is expecting one thing, getting another. Well, if you're throwing 84 miles an hour, you better be pitching backwards to survive. And that's how those guys did survive. 0-0 changeups, 3-2 changeups. Now, I did that, but now you've got guys throwing 95 miles an hour doing it. So it is much more prolific in baseball in 2019.
Are you good with it, or would you rather see more aggressive pitching early in counts or on the 2-1, 3-0, those kind of things?
If I'm Mike Maddox, I want to see people getting out.
Yeah.
And it really, whatever it takes to get outs, it's a smaller strike zone than ever before, in my opinion. And pitching's not easy to do it, even if you're throwing 95 miles an hour.
A 3-2 slider that was taken for a ball up. So 1-out walk, and it brings in Chris Bryant. He's fourth in the National League with 80 runs scored. Scored another one last night. Castellanos, to me, adds length and depth to this lineup that's already very good for Chicago.
Agreed.
So 1 out, runner at first, and Flaherty thinking ground ball and double play, and there's a strike. Bryant 1 for his last 19.
On the subject, Danny, of what pitch you throw on certain counts, if you're as good as Kyle Hendricks was last night, you could throw a fastball where you want it, or a breaking pitch or a changeup where you want it. It doesn't really matter what the count is. Do what you want. And that makes it really tough for a hitter.
0-1 gets through Wieters, right back to him. Throw into almost center field as Wong had to come off the bag. And Castellanos to second base. Not sure if he was just crossed up or flat out missed it. Pitch though in the dirt. Might be a pass ball, but they're going to charge Flaherty with a wild pitch. And Wieters will tell you, I got to have that.
Yeah, it's certainly one that should have been blocked and maybe even caught on the fly. Not sure he was crossed up, but it looked like maybe he was fooled by the amount that it broke, or maybe the fact that it didn't break as much as he expected, and he had to move his glove at the last second, but he still should have handled it.
Here's a 1-1 now to Bryant. That's tapped foul. Cardinals have really pitched Bryant well the entire year, and especially here at Busch Stadium. His career 35 games, just a .215 average for the 27-year-old from Las Vegas.
Several Cubs with bad numbers against Flaherty, but not the guy on deck, Anthony Rizzo. That's the guy you have to be careful of if you're Jack Flaherty. You know how well he has barreled you up.
Jammed him, and that will roll foul. Kris Bryant, just the 4th player in the history of baseball. This is how good he is to win an MVP 1 year after winning the Rookie of the Year. Dustin Pedroia did that. Ryan Howard, the St. Louis native out of Lafayette High School. The great Cal Ripken. He wears that number 17 to honor his dad. Mike Bryant, drafted by the Red Sox 9th round in 1980. Chris will tell you all the time, my dad was the guy that really helped me get to the major leagues, and it's a number that his dad wore in the minors, so he carries that number to the majors, and now he strikes out, and the first strikeout for Jack Flaherty. And Bryant now 2 for 22 here at Busch Stadium this year.
Well, there's another swing and a miss. He may have tipped that a bit. In fact, he did, and Wieters was able to hang on. Good reactions by him, but Jack's fastball, I would use the word explosive when he's right, and that's where the strikeouts pile up. Again, 9 against the Astros his last time out, and that Astros team, let's just say they were pretty good.
Yeah, and they got even better. Here's Anthony Rizzo. Great numbers against the Cardinal right-hander. And he's also 8th in the National League against right-handed pitching. Overall, .284 against righties, batting .310 as he hovers over the plate and dares you to go inside.
Not a betting game, Dan, as we know. We've learned that through the history of baseball. Can't bet on baseball if you're involved in it and around it. But let's just say I think he's going to get hit by a pitch once today. I would not be surprised. Jack likes to come in, and he's good at it. And Rizzo likes to allow it to hit him.
We were at Wrigley earlier this year. The great Bob Gibson will text me every once in a while, and he never misses our games. Bob, we're thinking about you right now, and can't wait to see you soon. And we were talking about Rizzo via text. And essentially, Bob was saying someone needs to put him on his rear. And don't let him stand over the plate. Don't let him hover inside. It's your plate, not his. And some things, it doesn't matter if it was 1968 or 2019, still remain the same. The 2-1. Now 2-2.
Precisely the conversation. I had a nice long chat with former Cardinal and a terrific broadcaster. I just love this guy. Eduardo Perez was here yesterday, and he and I chatted for a very long time, and that's exactly what we were talking about. Now, he's a hitter and a younger guy. He's not talking about playing in the 60s. I mean, Eduardo's just fairly recently out of the game, and he believes pitchers have allowed themselves to become too defensive and not take charge enough.
Pitched inside on that delivery and popped him up. Who wants it? Goldschmidt. The walk to Castellanos, and no damage done. We head to the home half of the first. The switch hitters, Edman and Fowler, followed by Martinez. First place on the line here in St. Louis. The shot you see right there could be very tough on the right fielders. The Sun Field here at Busch Stadium with the hour earlier starts, getaway days. The Cardinal lineup with Tommy Edman at the top, and then Fowler and Martinez, Goldschmidt, DeYoung, Munoz, Wieters, Wong, Flaherty. Drafted in 2002 by the Boston Red Sox. John Lester, and still going strong.
13th year in the big leagues. 3-time World Series champion. 5-time All-Star. He's had quite a career in 5 years in Chicago, and they've been good ones. He's a competitor. I really enjoy watching him pitch because the way he makes the plate look wider. It's the kind of the way I've kind of come down on him. He uses his cutter so well, both in and away, that he's really tough to center.
1 ball, 1 strike on Tommy Edman. The struggles for the Cardinals, it's been with runners in scoring position. That was the case last night. And overshadowed a bit the fact that the Cardinals are not drawing any walks. It's been 26 innings without a walk. It was the first inning on Saturday against the Astros. Last time they got that free pass. The Cardinals are 17th in the National League, or rather Major League Baseball, in that category. And now it's a 2-2 count.
And Tommy Edman, not a guy that's going to walk a lot.
Nope.
Only 5 walks for Edman. You look at Jairo Munoz, he's only got 4. And so they're both guys that just like to swing the bat.
Edman hits it to right, and Castellanos won't get there. A ground rule double for Tommy Edman and a break for the Cubs. If that stays in play, that is definitely a 3-bagger for Tommy Edman with his speed. So here we go, a runner in scoring position.
Well, it's going to be tough to play right field. We showed you Castellanos having to shade his eyes from the sun, and that's what he's looking at. He couldn't have caught that ball anyway. And I agree with you. If that ball bounces off the wall somewhere, you know, that jump's not a bad jump. So he saw it, took the right line, but well placed by Tommy. And the Cardinals have to make a run happen here this inning.
There's Dexter Fowler showing bunt and pulled back, and it's a ball.
Dan, the Toyota key to the game today, and we didn't see enough of it yesterday, and that's key hits. And yeah, there were plenty of hits, but I mean key hits, drive runners in. You can call it RISP, you can call it close and late, you can call it RBIs, you can call it what you want, but they need to get some key hits.
And Fowler with a fly ball to the left. That's Schwarber. He'll make the catch. And Edman stays put at second base. So the Cardinals are 3 for 42 now with runners in scoring position. And the 3 hits did not generate a run. They were 3 infield singles. Cubs defensively, Schwarber, Hayward, Castellanos in the outfield. Around the horn, presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Bryant, Baez, Kemp, and Rizzo on the infield. Wilson, Contreras behind the plate. It's curious to me, we know about Lester and the issues, especially when he first got to Chicago throwing to first, but even throwing to second base. Would Tommy Edman think about swiping third base? He's got 6 steals already in a short amount of time here in the big leagues.
Yeah, he's shown no fear running, and Lester is, well, it's just been problematic for him, although the Cardinals haven't run very well against Lester.
And Martinez looks at his strike, and sneaking in behind Edman was Baez.
Well, that's what you have to watch out for with Lester. Well, he's going to have difficulty throwing to the base if he throws it at all. But you've got Contreras, who likes to throw to bases, and Baez, who's so good with the glove and so sneaky that you can't get too far off that bag.
The 0-1. First signed with the Chicago Cubs that initial year. There were 44 stolen bases against Lester when he was on the mound. Then it went down to 28, 19, 14, and this year respectable. Only 5 against him this year. The 1-1 just off the plate. Home plate umpire is Will Little, and you know he's going to get some glares and mean looks by Lester. Time or two tonight. Joe West, the crew chief, at first. Andy Fletcher at second, and Jansen Visconti down at third. 2-1 the count. A big gap in left center for Martinez.
Lester is from that old school a little bit where, you know, the veteran guy gets to complain a little bit about the strike zone. He's not afraid to let the home plate umpire know when he missed one or he thinks he missed one. Feels like he's earned that a bit. And a big miss, the Cardinals not getting Dexter Fowler hitting the ball to the left fielder instead of to the right fielder, instead of hitting the ball behind Edmonds. So sacrifice fly doesn't do it here.
Situational hitting, and the Cardinals have struggled in that regard. The 2-2. Up the middle and a base hit. Edman had to wait. Now being waved in. Hayward's throw to the plate cut off, and the Cardinals get the early lead thanks to Jose Martinez.
It looked like Jose went down to get that one in the lower part of the zone. Here's the delivery. It is down, and he takes it off the ground, drives it into center. And Tommy Edman, how fast is he? Well, he didn't get a good jump, and he still scored easily. Fun to watch him run.
Here's Paul Goldschmidt. 7 for 14 against John Lester in his career.
When the Cardinals saw Lester in Chicago, in fact, it's a rematch of that starting pitching pairing because it was Flaherty-Lester in Chicago. Lester gave up 4 runs in the first inning, and that was it. He gave up a 3-run home run to Marcell Ozuna. Then Harrison Bader hit a home run. Well, that's not going to happen today. But after those 4 early runs, Lester just settled in. So he's a guy that when you get to him, keep getting him.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Goldschmidt. Paul just might be the player of the month for the National League in July. At 308, that's great, but RBI 27, tied for first. Total bases 66, tied for first, and had the second most home runs in the month with 11. Also scored 20 runs.
I know somebody who voted for him.
That would be you.
I'm not allowed to say. I just do know somebody.
Here's a 1-2. And he tied him up in a strikeout. First of the night for John Lester.
Talked about Lester making the plate look wide. The cutter off the plate in, but it looks like a strike. And look how far off the plate that is. So from a hitter's eye, you almost reestablish that as the inside corner. But that's a good 5 inches off the plate.
Here's DeYoung. Drove in 22 in the month of July and popped 6 homers. He had that 3-home-run night against the Pirates, and since then he's won for his last 20. Ground ball hit left side. Bryant has a force at second, and Kemp is there. On a 2-2 pitch, Jose Martinez, the single into center to drive in Edman. 1-0 after 1. When will Yadi return and be active and ready to roll? More on that. We check in with Jim Hayes.
He's on the road to recovery. Yadi will begin a rehab assignment with Memphis tomorrow, according to Mike Shildt. Yadi has missed 20 games with a tendon strain around his right thumb. Shildt said of Yadi, this guy has as much hunger to play as anyone I've ever been around, but the medical team has made it clear he has to get the thumb issue behind him before he moves forward. We think it's now behind him. Shildt also said that Marcell Ozuna will play with Memphis tonight, then will be reevaluated to see if he's ready to return to the big club. Also, Tyler O'Neill, a late scratch tonight with a minor hand issue. Not sure about his availability for tonight, Danny.
Well, Jimmy, I want to go back to you just for a moment. And here's a 1-1 pitch to Javi Baez. And a fly ball lifted out to his former teammate in center, Dexter Fowler. But Ozuna, at this point, do they know you know, you're talking about him coming back and has looked okay and no ill effects in Memphis. Do we know a certain date as to when he would be in that Cardinal lineup?
Dan, I was told that after he plays tonight, he'll get a reevaluation from the medical staff, and then they'll make a determination. I get the feeling the Cardinals would like to see him in the lineup as soon as possible, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm also told Marcell wants to get back as quickly as he can, too.
Yeah, he was the team leader in homers for the longest time and was missing over a month and still led the club in home runs. And here's Contreras.
And assuming, guys, that it's okay medically for him to be able to do it, I think if you're playing in Oakland, that could be a good opportunity to have him come back, too. Just get some at-bats as a designated hitter, perhaps.
Something to definitely think about.
Maybe ease back into playing every day.
Yeah. 1 ball, 1 strike with 1 out, nobody on. Contreras signed by the Cubs, international free agent, 2009. He was their minor league player of the year in 2015, and he was at Double-A at that time. His a younger brother, William, who's in the Braves system, also a catcher. The 2-1 pitch. For a guy that, for the most part, is back behind the plate every single day in the heat of the summer, boy, does he come ready to play. It's with a flair. It's with an aggressive attitude.
Yeah, he brings it.
And he has an absolute cannon behind the plate. And a swing and a miss. Now, this may not surprise you, but Contreras loves Carlos Zambrano. They grew up in the same city. It's also the same town of Pablo Sandoval in Venezuela. But, well, Zambrano had a little bit of a temper, and not to say Contreras does, but he's got a little flair, just like Carlos Zambrano. Second strikeout for Jack Flaherty.
Jack looks like he has very good stuff here in the early going. He just needs to continue in this direction and not make mistakes. And this one's certainly not a mistake. Very good delivery. And he hits the glove of Matt Wieters. And that had that hop to it.
There's Kyle Schwarber. Now, Flaherty has only had 10 runs of support in his last 8 starts. And from the pitching perspective of that, I wonder, Ricky, if sometimes you think I've got to be perfect. Oh, what a play here by Goldschmidt. Flaherty to the bag, and they take the extra base hit away from Schwarber. A 10-pitch inning, and highlighted by this dandy from Paul Goldschmidt. That ball was behind him. Game tickets, redeem special check-in offers, access exclusive content, much more. MLB Ballpark app today. With Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes with us. 1-0 Cardinals on a single and an RBI by Jose Martinez. There's Jairo Munoz, followed by the switch hitter Matt Wieters and Colton Wong. John Lester from Tacoma, Washington. And that's foul. Committed to play baseball at Arizona State, then signed with the Red Sox. He was the 2002, so this is a long time ago, Gatorade Player of the Year in Washington State. Top player in that state, ranked by Baseball America. And he nearly was traded to the Rangers in 2004. He would have been included in a deal that was going to send A-Rod to Boston before the Players Association nixed that deal. It's one of the more fascinating non-trades in baseball history.
I think that's not widely understood, that baseball and the Players Association can both nix a deal for they have to approve the deal. Let's put it that way.
Munoz, the second strikeout for Lester.
I mean, there's a betterment of the game kind of clause that the MLB could use, and the Players Association is protecting the rights and the levels of values for their players. And if they feel that that's going to hurt the players as a whole. They can have a voice there too.
And remember, the Rangers gave A-Rod the $250 million contract that shocked not just the baseball world, really sports in general. And to get out from underneath that deal, a trade had been agreed upon by both the Rangers and the Red Sox that would have sent John Lester to Texas, and I would think the Red Sox were very thankful he did not go. Part of their championship club in 07 and again in 13. And then you would have to deal with the circus that was Alex Rodriguez. And it was a circus at times. One point suspended by baseball for an entire year. But to his credit, he's really remade himself.
Yeah, he has.
And the 1-1. Now, John Lester was dealt by the Red Sox to the A's. That was in 2014. And Yoenis Cespedes went to Boston. Deal did not work out for Oakland. They lost the 2014 AL wildcard game. That was to the Royals, and then lost Lester that offseason. He signed a 6-year, $155 million deal with the Cubs, and that deal runs through next season. And the 2-2 hit down the right field line, but foul and out of play.
And I know the Cardinals are doing a lot to get fan feedback on the early start times, and there's going to be some decisions about games going forward. I think a fair number of fans have enjoyed the earlier start times that we've had this year. I think the 6:15 start and the sun is certainly in effect, maybe for an inning and a half, but not much more than that.
No.
It seems like the shadows cover the field pretty early in a ball game, so not a big factor on the field. But I think there's a fair number of folks that like, just in general, the earlier start time.
And if you have a ticket for an upcoming game, make sure you look and see those start times.
Yes.
Because it was early in the season with kids not out of school yet, so you had early start times to get them here to the ballpark, and that's why we'll go back to them. One of the reasons at 6:15 as they head back to school. Wong, little flare, center field, and that's now 20 games in a row that he has reached base. He hit .357 in the month of July, and that's now 20 straight reaching base.
I like the aggressiveness of Colton Wong, and you look at the numbers month by month, a .357 July, and just keeps getting better and better. Let's hope August is on that same trajectory. You know, Colton getting a hit down on that first pitch, just, I think if you watch a game and realize how many hits are on the first pitch a batter sees, I like aggressiveness at the plate. I think that's the pitch you're more apt to be able to get something you can handle.
Good example of that was Rangel Ravello coming off the bench. First pitch last night, and the double off of Kimbrel.
Kimbrel gets ahead of you, you're out.
I'll never forget Tony La Russa. You know, and it's the old adage, take a strike when you're down late in a game, ninth inning. Take a strike, take a strike. So I asked Tony about that one time, and he said, absolutely not. That's the wrong thinking, because if Dennis Eckersley gets strike one on you,
yeah,
it's over.
Yeah.
So if you get a pitch to hit, rip away. The 1-1.
You recall the game where we were showing the counts in the whole of Major League Baseball.
Yes.
What everybody does at 0-0 counts, and it was astronomically high, 330, I believe, the number on hitting the first pitch, something like that. But you get strike one, now your average goes down 100+ points, and then you get 0-2. I mean, you were out. And so it doesn't really matter who's pitching. Pitchers understand how to get you to swing at a ball, essentially. And that's what Mark Budaska and I were talking about that during this homestand, that pitchers and hitters need to understand that when pitchers are in a count where they're throwing you a pitch that looks like a strike and it's going to be a ball, that's when you're in trouble. And that's what trained to do, essentially.
The 2-2 by Lester. And he's gone full here on the pitcher, Jack Flaherty. Wong, by the way, on the first pitch in terms of when he swings, it puts it in play, batting .333 to further your point. And Colton off with this pitch. Cardinals had only three-ball counts last night against Hendricks and then Kimbrel. There goes Wong, and Flaherty hits it to Kemp, and Tony Kemp, a nice play sliding to his right. Redbirds strand a runner. We played 2, and Colton Wong has extended his on-base streak. St. Louis Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. And by Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the St. Louis area. Find yours at your Mid-America Chevy dealer. What temperatures have just been beautiful and ideal. It's our buddy Neil Fisher selling the Game Day magazine, and Fox Sports Go is available for you. You can download that. Take us with you wherever you may go.
Neil's doing a great job. Energetic. I like it.
Neil does a lot of work around here at the ballpark, and he'll come up once his duties are done in the 3rd inning and visit with us. He played baseball at Lindenwood University and is looking to take my job someday. Thanks a lot, Neil. Great job on the magazine.
You think he'll sell us one when he comes up here? Magazine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to dig deep and make it happen. I read the story. That was the yearbook. There's Tony Kemp. And it's got Yadi on the front, and it's 15 years of Yadier Molina. And some of the subject matter is awesome, as he's very open about the Brandon Phillips brawl. There's a ground ball that's foul. And then what he thinks of Brandon Phillips now. And talking about winning championships. Adam Wainwright. Relationship with players over the years. His future. It's really a tell-all kind of thing from Yadier Molina. We don't hear enough from him. And one of the reasons why, 1 ball, 1 strike. And it's not, to take anything away from him. He gets to the ballpark early. He has a workout. A lot of times he works out at the team hotel on the road, then goes to the ballpark. They've got meetings all day, and he's doing a lot of that, what you're seeing on your screen, the talking with teammates. And it's not just the pitching staff, but it's the hitters. And he's been in this league forever, and what guys are trying to do. It's really fascinating what he brings to the table.
So you look at that group of guys and any group of guys on a team, and you're going to have 1 or 2 of those players that look for every opportunity to talk to somebody from the press, and they're happy somebody's talking to them. And you're going to have 1 or 2 guys that just as soon never do it. And that's just how they are. It's not a criticism either way, but some guys just are not that interested in spending time at the ballpark, promoting what they do, explaining what they do. I just want to go over there and do it. And I think that's Yadi.
And what a treat it's been to watch that man his entire career here in St. Louis. Again, he's on the cover of the yearbook put together. Steve Zesh and Gabe Kiley and a number of others. And pick it up, cardinals.com/yearbook. And you can get it here at the ballpark as well. That's a drive into right center off the bat of Lester, but it'll stay in the ballpark.
So of that group that we just showed you, you think Adam Wainwright likes doing interviews?
Yes.
Yes, he's very comfortable doing it. He loves doing it, and he leads through that. So he's going to talk. Michaelis he'll be very cordial, but he's not going to seek it out. Lane Thomas was on with Jim Hayes today, so he apparently enjoys it. Andrew Kisner, who we panning left, Andrew is very gregarious. He's going to be more chatty. And again, that's just personality. Different personalities in the game of baseball, and you know that when you're on a team. It just, you expect everybody to be the same, and they're just not.
I still believe to grow this game in this day and age, players have to be accessible with the media. The media has to treat them with respect. And we need to find out more about these players. They are not here to watch the umpires, although some may think that they are. And I'm talking about the umpires. The fans are here to watch those guys.
Of course.
They want to know about them, what they do, what they like, who they are, and if you want to sell the game. And for the players, look, you want to make more money, sell the game. Your TV rights go up, your broadcast rights, national television, everything. Sell the game. As Hayward hits it to Fowler in center, and Dexter puts it away. Catching it at the chest as only he can do. A catcher when he was growing up, and his dad taught him to catch it like that. The Cubs and Cardinals on a beautiful night here in St. Louis. We're in the bottom of the third, and it's 1-0 Cardinals. The only run scored tonight by Tommy Edman. He doubled down into the right field corner, and my partner Rick Horton made a great point. He said if you get to Lester and you have a chance and you do it early, you better do it then, because he gets locked in. And then in the second inning, struck out the first two. It was a soft liner to center, and then the ground out by Flaherty. When he gets locked in, he's as good as anybody.
The game we were talking about was the Cardinals' 62nd game of the year in Chicago. It was on June 8th in Lester.
Ground ball, diving stop. Bryant up and got him by a step.
He's having a hurry this series. Didn't get O'Neill yesterday, just barely got Edman there. But that game on the 8th, he struck out Matt Carpenter to start the game, and then it was walk, single, home run, hard fly out, home run, single, and he was on the ropes in the first inning of that game. And after that, nothing. I mean nothing.
And nothing out of the infield.
Right, exactly. Ground outs, strikeouts, and the Cardinals were just done.
Here's Fowler. I don't know about you at home, but when I watch him catch the ball in the outfield at the chest, I'm always thinking, oh no, is he going to drop one?
Oh yeah.
And I asked Dexter about this, and he said, I have been doing that for the longest time because I was a catcher as a youngster. And so I was the best athlete on the team. He played on some great teams in his youth in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Oh boy, nice play here by Baez, and Fowler is tagged out. The Cardinals will take a look. Not sure the tag was there.
And it was his dad that first taught him to catch that way. And Dexter's just continued. It's worked out fine for him, but I agree it's a little different, and we'll check this play. Does he tag him or not?
No, he's safe. And the Cardinals, I'm sure, will challenge, and they're going to say, you know, maybe he did get him on the back there.
I think he got him on the hand. He may have got him on the hand, not the back. The left hand, perhaps, or the right hand.
Wow.
There must be an angle that shows that tag.
Maybe his foot there, too, but
the foot would be too late.
You would think. Cardinals do not challenge. And so 2 outs and nobody on for Jose Martinez. And so Dexter started playing the outfield because he was such a good athlete, and the first couple of catches as a little leaguer were done at the chest. He said, well, I've always caught at the chest, and when I bring my glove up, it obstructs my view, so I like to have it here. And then he turns his glove hand, the thumb, up ever so slightly, and he said it won't pop out. So I've been doing it forever, and that's the way I do it. Works for him. Hey, he's in the big leagues. Jose snapped the 3 for 42 skid with runners in scoring position. And that was the worst stretch by Cardinals team since August of 2016.
2-1, and Jose didn't like it.
And we talked about the plate being wide when he throws the cutter in. How about when he throws one away? This one's way outside, and then it comes back and hits that outside corner. So visually, the plate just it doubles in size. And what a perfect, think about those last two pitches, where the first pitch started out and where the second pitch finished. That is such a wide area that the hitter's eyes are now expanded to. I mean, hitting's tough enough. Lester knows exactly what he's doing.
And the 2-2 spoiled by Martinez. First time this season between the Cardinals and the Cubs that a road team won a game. That was last night. 10-game streak of home wins to begin the season series. Longest stretch of winning at home between these two teams ever. And they began playing baseball in 1892 between these two. Pretty incredible. You come to the ballpark, as Red Chaindienst would always tell you, two things. You're going to see something you've never seen before. And I hang out with ball players because they're young and they keep me young. Love Red. Miss him. Bryant on a hop, spins and makes the play. 3 groundouts for the Cardinals. Edmund Fowler Martinez. We head to the 4th and a 1-0 St. Louis lead. Here's a look at Miles Michaelis, the starter last night. Lane Thomas on the left, Wainwright on the right. But we're going to talk a little pitching with Jim Hayes. Jimmy, what do you have?
Danny, I don't know if you noticed, but Cardinal fans are kind of fired up that the Cardinals didn't add another starting pitcher.
Not at all.
Before the deadline. The guys in the starting rotation see it much differently. Miles Michaelis told me, we take it as a vote of confidence. The front office believes we have what it takes as a group, and that's very reassuring. You look at the rumors and how they didn't want to give up their younger players. That speaks volumes. Dan, the guys in the rotation say they are confident that they can get this ball club where this ball club wants to go. Remains to be seen.
Castellanos pops it up into shallow right. Martinez and Goldschmidt giving chase, and it's out of play.
And to follow on what Jimmy said, I agree 100% that that's the way the Cardinals pitchers need to take that as a vote of confidence. And everybody's entitled to their own opinion about what's happened in the last few days. And all those opinions are absolutely valid, and they come from different places. You're a fan buying tickets. You're a sponsor, you're a broadcaster, you're one of those guys in the rotation. Well, the guys in the rotation, I think, should be thinking, all right, they believe in us. They think the other guys that they could have gotten aren't any better than we are, and we need to show that we're going to keep getting better and get us to October. I still believe that the coaching staff and Mike Shildt have a critically important job here in the month of August, especially.
And that's fouled back by Castellanos. First game as a Cub.
To foster that kind of thinking.
And Mike Maddox has got to see his staff be better on the road.
Yes. And Mike Shildt has to have his team play exactly like they played August of 2018. I'm not asking for too much, am I?
20+ wins. I take that.
Right.
Good pitch in on his hands. Last August, and it was right around the All-Star break that Mike Shildt took over, and then in August made that run. The club went 22-6.
5.29 runs per game, best in the National League. The starters second best, relievers best. So all aspects of the game were working. Now it's a different year, different time, but would love those same results.
Out of play again, and the Cardinals in that month, they were running wild too, taking advantage of the tells that we talk about going into series.
And they had 3 young pitchers that were extraordinarily good. I'd say 4. Flaherty, who's pitching today, Ponce de Leon, Gomber, and Dakota Hudson were all terrific.
Cardinals still hopeful that Austin Gomber could see action before this season is through. Alex Reyes being another one. You might see Jake Woodford. You may see Junior Fernandez. I mean, there's all kinds of guys that they have that they think highly of. The 1-2 pitch. Missed in. It's a good battle here to start this fourth inning. The 2-2. Little bit low. Mentioned a lot here recently that low strike on this homestand and throughout baseball, and I try to watch games all over the place. You do not see the low strike being called in the game today. So now he's got to elevate for his strike. The 3-2, or do that. The slider, and struck him out.
So the 3-2 slider missed in the first inning, and he walked him. And Matt Wieters and Jack Flaherty deciding, let's try it again and throw a better one and throw a strike with it. And Castellanos pulling off. You saw the top half of his body react as if the ball was either going to be in or a fastball, and he kind of gave away the outer half of the plate, and that's where Jack threw it.
There's Chris Bryant, struck out his first time up. Gets a slider, and the Cardinals have been feeding him slider after slider the entire year, this entire series, from right-handed pitching.
We talk a lot about front shoulder for hitters, Dan, but it's the same thing for pitchers. You have to keep your front shoulder in if you're Jack Flaherty when you're going to the plate. You can't spin out of the way. Top spin is what we call it. When you top spin, your arm action actually lengthens, it gets lower, and everything gets flatter. So you have to be more closed with your front shoulder. In this case, with the right-handed Flaherty, that's his left shoulder, has to be pointed at the plate until the last second and then throw downhill.
Here's the 0-2.
Go.
Back-to-back Ks, carves up Chris Bryant, struck him out for the second time, and it brings in Rizzo.
And when a hitter pulls his front shoulder, he can't hit the pitch away. Here's the delivery of Flaherty. That front shoulder square to the plate. Last second, it gives way to the back shoulder. But we always talk about, Dan, in the pitching world, of your back shoulder replacing your front shoulder. Instead of it spinning around, it actually goes more 12-6. Your shoulder. Now, it really doesn't, but that's what you have to feel to get that downhill delivery.
Good inning by Jack Flaherty at the 9-pitch at bat with Castellanos. Struck him out. Bryant. Time for T-Mobile's connection to the game. And not a bad 4 out of 5 after the trade deadline for Houston, with Verlander or Cole. Take your pick. Either one could be a Cy Young Award winner. Zach Greinke has been outstanding. Put him in the mix. And we saw Wade Miley on Sunday. He pitched very well against St. Louis. So the Astros have geared up. It's not for a postseason run. That's for a World Series run. Houston 69-40. And an 8-game lead over the A's in the American League West, and we'll see the A's come Saturday night. At the plate, it's Paul Goldschmidt, struck out swinging and riding a 9-game hitting streak into play tonight.
Kind of one of the ways that baseball in the last several years has kind of kept some of its parity, Dan, is what they do is the teams that have a chance to win double down, and they go get the best players, but they give up their prospects to another team, and that helps that other team down the road get back into the thick of things. So it's kind of a leveling move, I think, that the trade deadline creates.
It does beg the question, tanking in the game, and the Cubs tore it all down for the most part, had high draft choices as Goldschmidt sends a fly ball into center. That's Hayward. And Houston, when they were rebuilding, had a payroll that was minuscule, And at one point, they were so bad, there was a stretch of 37 games that they went 4-33. Now think about that. And they were picking in the top 5 in something like 7 of the last 8 years or 9 years prior to them winning the World Championship. And they did miss on 2 number-1 overall picks, but they were picking so high. And I'm not saying they didn't do a good job picking. They did. They got good players, but
sometimes a guy gets hurt too, and it doesn't work.
But when you're picking that high, you know, you got to pick the right guy. But you're going to have some really good talent come through.
If you're the Diamondbacks and you get the 4th and 5th and 6th best prospects for the Houston Astros, you have helped yourself long term. And so it may be thought of as tanking in the short run, but I would guess that those guys are going to be impact players pretty quickly.
And the 1-1 to DeYoung. Speaking of the Oakland A's, they won today 5-3. Matt Chapman, a 2-run homer off of Josh Hader in the 8th against Milwaukee. So Milwaukee came into play. Game out. Now a game and a half as we speak. 2-2.
As a fan, Chapman is my favorite player that I've seen on visiting teams this year.
Really good player.
Just you know, sometimes you just gravitate towards a player. You like the way they move, and I thought defensively he was as smooth as anybody I've seen play third in a long time.
DeYoung, base hit into center, just over Kemp. And the Cardinals have their first hit since a 2-out single back in the 2nd by Colton Wong.
So the attempt is cutter in, and not quite enough to get on the thumbs of Paul DeYoung. He didn't hit it that hard, but well done by Paulie D.
Now do you think about being aggressive, whether it's a stolen base straight up or a hit and run? Munoz does not strike out very often.
Yes. I like hit and run. We don't see a lot of those. We see more straight steals. The Cardinals have been so effective and efficient stealing bases.
That pitch taken for a ball by Munoz, struck out swinging back in the 2nd inning.
Pop Warner getting everybody's attention, asked Munoz to step out.
And the 1-0 hit and run was on, and they deliver. Munoz, the base hit into left center. DeYoung will stop at 3rd. Love it. They hit and run to perfection. Runners at the corners and 1 out.
So you set it up. Mike Shildt asked for it, and Pop Warner had to get Jairo Munoz's attention to make it happen. And I'm surprised they still went with it, because the element of surprise was out the window. I mean, as a hitter, you have to be looking for that. And Pop had to go through the signs again, because I don't think Jairo saw it. And even with that, it worked.
So now it's Wieters with runners at the corners. He struck out first time. Now do you start Munoz with his speed? He's got 7 steals this year. One of the plays they have not tried is the steal of second base, but where the runner truly either tries to get caught and reads the play to stay in a rundown, and then DeYoung would come in.
And you normally do that with 2 outs. And in a situation where you're not very comfortable with the guy at the plate, maybe the pitcher at the plate.
Exactly.
And when you think about the Cardinals' success rate that we just mentioned, pretty extraordinary. 2019, 79.8%. And you think about the Cardinals teams of the 80s, the next 4 best in terms of percent were those 80s teams that ran all the time.
Boy, did they run wild. Willie McGee, Vince Coleman, Ozzie Smith, Tommy Herr, Terry Pendleton. You talk about putting pressure on a pitcher, a catcher, and the opposing manager and defense. That did it.
314 stolen bases in 1985. The Cardinals with
71 now, and we're excited. And
Amazing.
walking into our head 3.
Outside, 2-2. Wong on deck. StatCast AI powered by AWS. That's the sac fly line. Takes into account the arm strength, the speed of the runner at third. If it gets to that green line in front or after, gives you an idea of where you want to go. Or if you want to go. The 2-2 pitch to Wieters. Struck him out. Big strikeout for Lester.
Missed opportunity, at least so far. Wieters has had a lot of experience against Lester. He's faced him over 50 times, so this is not a small sample size. Batting average of over 300 against him. Just missed that one.
Lester has only walked 26 in 114 innings coming into play tonight. He can be careful with Wong, with second base open, if you will, and Flaherty on deck. Just something to think about.
And the other thing you think about is if Munoz steals second, they will walk Wong.
That's right.
So maybe a little less incentive for the Cardinals to run here.
Wong with a single to center field, first time up, to extend his on-base streak to 20 in a row as he adds to his career high. The 1-0 pitch. Inside, 2 balls, no strikes. And I think the point is you don't have to give in if you're John Lester. It's your pitch, not his. We'll see what happens here on 2-0.
It's awful enticing, though, to want to have the pitcher lead off the next inning.
Wong, base hit, off the glove of Kemp, into right. Munoz to third, and it's 2-0 St. Louis. On a 2-0 pitch, Wong rifled it into right field. 2-0 Cardinals.
Not careful enough was John Lester. And Colton continues to hit well against left-handed pitching. Something he's done well all season long. He just drives that. And you think about if more of a pronounced shift was on, perhaps that's not a base hit. And he's earned the defense not shifting as much because he's been hitting the ball the other way.
Good point.
So they have to play him more straight up now.
And Flaherty on the first pitch, pops it foul. For Wong, his 21st 2-out RBI, and that's most on the Cardinal team. And being in the 8th position in the lineup, we talk about it all the time. On 2-0, you're thinking, will I even see a pitch to hit with Flaherty on deck? And the game within the game of that at bat, really well done by Colton Wong.
Key to the game was getting key hits. We've had 2 of them already. Jose Martinez in the first, now Wong in the 4th.
Also like the aggressive running of Munoz first to third. The Cardinals are tops in the league in that category. 63rd time that they've done that. Flaherty with a fly ball that'll carry into right center, and a diving catch by Hayward. An unbelievable play in right center. That saves 2 runs. Takes a hit away from Flaherty. And Jason Hayward with one of the plays of the year at this ballpark from a center fielder. Great play. Avoided the collision and takes a hit away. Friday, August 9th, it's 90s night here at the ballpark. Pirates will be here. Purchase of a special theme ticket. Take home a 90s inspired Cardinals t-shirt. Cardinals.com/theme. Lou Fuse, this date in history. Speaking of those running Redbirds, and see more at Fuse.com. 4 bases stolen on 1 pitch in 1985. Vince Coleman in a rundown. Don't worry about it. He'll score. And Willie McGee, he takes off. Our Lou Fuse, this date in Cardinals history. I love the Lou Fuse dates in Cardinals history. You get to see the older players and you reminisce. Makes you think about Vince and Willie between 85 and 86 and 87. That 3-year period. Vince had 326 stolen bases. Willie had 191.
Incredible watching those guys. I lived that moment in Chicago. I can remember Ron Say arguing with the umpire. I remember Willie trying to take off for home. Imagine had they not called timeout and it would have been 5 stolen bases. Actually, what I recall is sitting in the bullpen trying to figure out how in the world do you score that. And we had no idea, of course, playing at the time, that they would give 4 stolen bases on 1 pitch. But that's exactly what they did.
Unbelievable.
4 of 314 that year.
Ronald Acuna, the leader in stolen bases right now in the National League with 26.
You know, the Cardinals major league team actually stole more bases than that. And that was, Dan, you remember, back in 1887 when the team was in the American Association, was known as the St. Louis Brown Stockings. They stole 581 bases. And they did it in just 134 games.
Well, back then, they were really taking into account pop-up times.
Yeah, the tells of the pitcher.
Right.
Can you imagine? I'd love to have seen one of those games. One of the guys that stole over 100 was a guy named Charlie Comiskey, who became the Charlie Comiskey of Comiskey Park in Chicago. So he played here in St. Louis for several years, then managed, and then owned the club in Chicago.
I wonder what StatCast AI will tell you about High Pockets Kelly. Big zone, tall guy.
Tall guy for sure.
Yeah. Here's a 2-1 pitch to Javi Baez. Fly to center, first time up. Good fastball again by Flaherty.
We normally get a High Pockets Kelly reference at least once a year, so we're done.
I save it for you.
Yeah.
And it used to be with DJ LeMahieu. He's a tall second baseman, and we started looking up who are the tallest second basemen in the game, and old High Pockets came up. The 2-2 just off the plate.
And the new version of High Pockets is having a big-time year with the Yankees.
Sure is.
Baez, 3-2, doesn't like to walk.
3-2, and he'll strike out. So Flaherty has struck out a total of 5 tonight and 3 of the last 4.
I actually think it helps as a pitcher knowing you can just kind of let it eat and the guy's going to swing. It just, I mean, you want to pinpoint it, of course, if you can, but 96, good fastball tonight for Flaherty.
First batter of the game was Hayward. He grounded out to Goldschmidt. Then it was a walk to Castellanos. And since then, 12 in a row set down by Flaherty. Here's Contreras. Flaherty off the mound, 2 away. Now a quick word from Great Southern Bank.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Thank you.
No, I checked my balance. Great Southern app.
Great.
Here's Kyle Schwarber. He was robbed by Goldschmidt in a diving stop near the right field line as he was playing very deep at first base. That's 5 ground ball outs to go along with 5 strikeouts for Jack Flaherty tonight. And that pitch down and in. He was the 4th overall pick by Chicago in 2014 out of Indiana University. Kyle Schwarber. And at that time, he was recruited by some Big Ten Conference teams not to play baseball, but to play linebacker. He was a terrific football player. A state that is rich in talent, Ohio. Grew up about 40 miles from Cincinnati. His dad, the police chief of that town in Middleton, Ohio, and his mom, a nurse. A catcher in his high school days and in college, and here in the big leagues, he's a hitter. Trying to find a spot, and they put him in left field. Here's a 3-0 pitch now to Schwarber. So 4 pitches and a walk, and the first base runner for the Cubs since back in inning number 1. Saturday, August 10th, 30,000 fans, 16 and older, can add a Cardinals hat to their collection. Features the skyline and a Cardinal logo. Cardinals.com/promotions. 2-out walk, and here's Tony Kemp. Grounded out to second, first time up. And there's strike 1. Kemp, a very versatile player in terms of the fact that he is truly a utility player. Acquired from the Cubs from Houston for Martin Maldonado. And with the Astros, he played at second, 29 games, left field, center. So he can play all over the place. Here's the 0-1.
And we know from watching Tommy Edman play and Jairo Munoz play how valuable that could be to have a guy that you get to the 6th inning or 7th inning of a game and you have to double switch, and you've got several options about where to move 2 or 3 of your guys. It just makes managing a little easier.
Joe Madden will think outside the box too.
And I don't mean he does, definitely. I don't mean just putting them there, knowing that he can actually play there.
Fly ball into right center. Fowler underneath, and the former catcher in Little League put it away. Cubs strand their second. The top of the lineup coming up for St. Louis, and it's Arcia give it everything. The best winning percentage in August since 2015, and this is in all of baseball, and it's these 2 teams, the Cubs and the Cardinals. Top of the lineup for St. Louis. Edman, Fowler, and Martinez. It was September of 2006 that John Lester was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it was only a few months after he made his major league debut in June of 2006. He has beaten cancer and has inspired many. A fly ball into center, and he's always trying to help out kids. He's got a foundation and was also willing to help a young draft pick by the name of Anthony Rizzo back in the day by the Boston Red Sox. And Rizzo is drafted, and then he got cancer. And there's a photo. Theo Epstein said, I want you to meet a guy that's an inspiration for you and can be, and you will beat this. His name is John Lester. He's one of our pitchers. And here they are now, teammates, world champions together with the Chicago Cubs. He and his wife have established the NVRQT Foundation. That's the Never Quit Foundation, which supports kids and their battles against cancer. And it was just on a recent road trip where Anthony Rizzo, and he's done this, folks, here in St. Louis for kids that are Cardinal fans, going to hospitals and bringing them to the ballpark. And he does it quietly without any fanfare. But Anthony also has a foundation, and in San Diego he had a kid that was coming to the ballpark at Petco. And here's a 1-2 pitch to Dexter Fowler. Spoiled, and those two, he wanted to meet Anthony Rizzo, and that young boy had raised a lot of money through a charitable run for those that are stricken with cancer, and he himself was going through it and had beaten it, and he said, I'd like to meet Anthony Rizzo. So Rizzo came down, they met, and the young boy had a message for him as Fowler strikes out. He said, please, if you can, hit me a home run tonight. That would really mean something to me. Well, not only did he hit a home run, hit a grand slam, and dedicated that home run to that young boy. There are stories of these players all the time giving back, and it is truly why you love the game.
And you see the kind of the legacy of that when you attach that to Lester, to Rizzo, to that young boy, to their family, to their friends being encouraged. And that's what's one of the great things about professional sports in our country. And you can argue that it shouldn't be as important as it is, but it really can affect people, and it has a kind of a tentacle effect that is extraordinary. The reach, the influence.
There's a 1-1 inside to Martinez. Back in the first inning, Tommy Edman, the first man that Lester saw, a double into the corner and right. Fowler then flied to left, and Martinez delivered on a 2-2 pitch. The single into center. 2-2 the count here. He just doesn't give in, does he? John Lester. When he was on the Red Sox, by the way, he and Clay Buchholz launched their own charity wines, and all the money goes to cancer. Cabernet, not Cabernet, Cabernet, Chardonnay Clay, and a lot of money raised. We head to the 6th, and it's 2-0. Top of the 6th, and it's a 2-0 score in favor of St. Louis. John Lester, Jason Hayward, and Nicholas Castellanos. Flaherty has been awfully good tonight. 65 pitches, that's it, as we start play here in the 6th. Lester flied to right center and had one of the better at-bats against Jack Flaherty tonight.
And he's also kept his team in this game. And that's what John Lester does.
0-2.
Flaherty's used a high percentage of fastballs in this game, maybe a little more than we've seen in the past, because it's, well, 96 with hop to it. I'd use it too.
Did not go on that slider. 1-2. We've seen Jack Flaherty do this in the past, whether it was a year ago against the Phillies, earlier this season against the Giants, where he's able to dominate a club. Strikeout number 6.
Well, you mentioned it at the top of this inning. Pitch count low. And that's going to be a plus for him going forward.
Cardinals baseball brought to you by Barnes Jewish Hospital and Washington University Physicians, national leaders in medicine, and by Toyota. Let's go places. Here's Jason Hayward, who has made the defensive play of the night.
Did he ever?
Yeah, including tonight. 35th appearance in center field, and watch this catch. You know, he and Castellanos, first time in the outfield together. He avoids a collision, and by making that catch, saves 2 runs. 0-2.
I love the way he had the glove up so it wouldn't kind of bounce and have the ball bounce out of his glove. He was taking great care to make sure that ball stayed in his glove, and he had to be worried about his own health and a collision.
Got 5 Gold Gloves. All have come in right field, and one of those in St. Louis.
So he's got the glove turned up so he's able to catch it. Then he's actually bringing his hand over to assist. Glasses go flying, and so does the right fielder over top of his head.
And Hayward hits it down the right field line. Foul. Dakota Hudson, by the way, was the compensation pick for losing Jason Hayward to the Chicago Cubs. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Hayward is swing and a miss. 7 strikeouts tonight for Jack Flaherty.
Well, I've been talking about Flaherty throwing 96. I think I shortchanged him a little bit. That one was 97. But the pop on the glove, terrific.
2 things I'm noticing about tonight, to see if you agree. The fastball, which always has a little extra to it, I think, but it's got a little extra jump.
Yep.
But his efficiency once he is ahead in the count.
Yes.
Using that fastball a little bit more. And maybe, you know, the Cubs come in thinking it's going to be slider after slider, and he's going with the fastball.
Well, he's attacking in those moments. And, you know, I think there are times where you don't have the hop on the fastball. The kind of the fastball up in the zone gets fouled off at 93 with no movement. But at 97, he's throwing it past him.
At times we've seen Flaherty get ahead. 0-1, 1-2, and then you look up and it's 3-2.
Not finishing him off.
Yeah. That is not the case tonight. 2 outs, 1 ball, 1 strike here on Castellanos. Sends a fly ball into right. Martinez over near the sidewall, and it's out of play.
I've seen that, Dan, with several pitchers, not just Flaherty, but finishing off a batter and trying to do it up, as most pitchers like to pitch up. That's an easier place for a batter to just drop the bat head and foul it off. You throw them one down and away at the knees. Let's say they drop the bat head on that. They're going to hit a ground ball somewhere, and they're out. Up, it's a foul ball, and you got to throw another pitch.
The 1-2 pulled foul by Castellanos, who walked his first time up. And had a 9-pitch at bat in the 4th, so a ton of pitches that he has seen. It's 20 this far, and the 21st coming up. So 20 of the 78 against Nicholas Castellanos, traded by Detroit here to Chicago. In the dirt. Two 2 the count with 2 outs and nobody on. Pulled foul. The Cubs have not had a base runner reach second base. It's been a couple of walks against Flaherty. Castellanos in the 1st and Schwarber in the 5th. And then with Schwarber, just his 2nd walk in his last 17 games. And one of the reasons why he was dropped from the leadoff spot. The 2-2 pitch. And a base hit into right. A clean hit for Nicholas Castellanos, and the first hit in the game for Chicago. With 2 outs here in the top of the 6th, Castellanos the single to right, and the tying run will come to the plate. Speaking of walks, it's now 124 plate appearances for the Cardinals without a walk. That's the longest streak since 1974. They have not walked in this game. They've got 6 hits to just 1 for Chicago, but Bryant could tie it with 1 swing of the bat. Tremendous power. 21 home runs, and he's driven in 51. 0 for 2 tonight with a pair of strikeouts.
First hit in the National League for Castellanos. The ball almost got lost. It was thrown into the dugout, and they were getting ready to just kind of get rid of it, and Mike Maddox had to rescue it. The Cubs were frantically trying to let the Cardinals know they wanted that baseball for their new right fielder.
Here's a 1-0 pitch now to Bryant. jammed him. Mike Maddox, the younger brother of Greg Maddox, who is a Hall of Fame pitcher and parts of 10 seasons wearing Cubby blue. Goldschmidt, DeYoung, Munoz due up for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 6th. Here's a 1-1 by Flaherty. We were talking about how you can get underneath a pitch or even how a shoulder can dip. Bryant has an uppercut for a right-handed batter, and you don't see that very often. Lefties have it, but not the righties.
Yeah, no, it's kind of the launch angle everybody's looking for.
He got him again. Strikes out Chris Bryant for the 3rd time tonight. 3 in the inning, 8 in the game, and he has been dominant through 6. 2-0. Kubota Power Stats. Paul Goldschmidt in 2011 made his major league debut this date. And since that time, his ranks in Major League Baseball, and he's in the top 4 of most categories as you take a look at the first baseman in the game. Tremendous career. He struck out tonight and also fly to center. One ball and 1 strike. Goldschmidt here, 4, 5, and 6. DeYoung on deck. He is singled, and so is Munoz. And he's after DeYoung. This has been a fun series. It always is with these two teams, but it's been big league baseball.
Sure has. Close games, good rivalry, packed house. And by the way, the weather unseasonably pleasant for St. Louis in late July, early August. Comfortable here at the ballpark.
So here's Paul DeYoung, grounded into a fielder's choice, and also a single to center and a run scored. Cardinals had the hit and run on with Munoz. DeYoung, you think about it, but there are times in which you see the swing and miss, more so with him than Jairo Munoz. Goldschmidt is now riding a 10-game hitting streak with that base hit to center. And the 1-0 pitch to the Cardinals shortstop.
Think about Goldschmidt when he was struggling early on, the number of foul balls he hit off to the right, where he was almost pulling off of it a little bit and pitches away, just kind of slightly uppercut swing, the ball just veering off over the Cardinals dugout and out of play. That was the foul ball he hit constantly, but he has definitely improved his balance, timing.
Popped up right side. Rizzo can't make the play. Back to the infield and could not come up with it, and he's one of the better first baseman at making that play.
Well, he overran it, and that's the problem. He's so good at it. He picked the spot, ran to it, and then he was too far. He had to kind of come back over his head. Still a good effort by Rizzo. I like the way he plays the game.
He's a good player.
Yes.
Now can he make him pay? 2-1 the count here on DeYoung. Inside, 3-1. This is interesting here. That should have been caught in and out. And now he's got to come at DeYoung, who's got tremendous power. This could be a big pitch right here on 3-1. 3-1 pitch. And DeYoung ripped it down into the corner. Goldschmidt to third. Held up there And a double for Paul DeYoung. And by not making that play, it changed the complexion of the at-bat, and who knows, maybe the complexion of this game.
I feel like somebody likes to say defense matters. And it mattered here last night because both runs that scored in the game were unearned runs against the Cardinals, a 2-0 loss. And defense mattering here in this inning on a ball that wasn't caught, prolongs the at-bat, and DeYoung lines it past Bryant into the corner, and a little trouble in the corner for a second with Schwarber too. I thought it might make Goldschmidt have just enough time to score, but safety with nobody out.
Now Munoz. The ball that gets away. It's 26 doubles to tie his single season high. The Cardinals shortstop, he's had 20 or more doubles in 3 major league seasons. Lefty Derek Holland.
So Lester, we know he doesn't like to throw to bases. Rizzo's back. You got a guy on third, a bunt to the first base side, gets a run in, and gets another runner to third base. I'd have to think about that.
And I would counter it by saying, and now don't worry about it with 2 strikes, but
right.
You know, Munoz takes a pretty good at bat, and he's got a single tonight. Sometimes Mike Schilt will say, and others, I go by watching what he's doing in that moment or that at bat. That pitcher, is he sharp in the inning or not? What am I seeing out of my players? So all that is factored in.
Where's Lester going to throw it, though, if you bunt it to him?
That's a good point. 1-2. But maybe, too, you're saying we're going for the kill here. And
I want that run. I need that run.
You want the run.
I mean, I like 2, Dan, but I love 3. And I'm really wanting for 4. And so I want DeYoung on third base with 1 out no matter what.
Well, I want the 3 on 1 swing of the bat.
Well,
okay, so I'm Earl Weaver here.
So you want 5.
I want the 3 on 1 swing to add up to 5, right?
Well, I wouldn't be upset with that either.
Here's a 1-2, and that's tapped foul by Munoz.
Just in general, let's say this, Dan. Why do people not bunt more on John Lester?
I don't know. And we were talking about that, especially when he first got to Chicago and he had the issues throwing the baseball to first. In the dirt. Munoz will give you a tough at bat. He has struck out 26 times, 1 tonight, 26 times in 137 at bats. The 2-2 pitch. Paul DeYoung, by the way, the 19th player in the history of the Cardinals to begin his career with 3 seasons of 100 or more base hits, and the first to do it since Albert Pujols back in the early 2000s, and he's done that, DeYoung has, quietly. Another big pitch in this game right here on 3-2 with the way that Flaherty is throwing the baseball, and that's a big run or 2, if not more, out there. Here it comes to Munoz. Ground ball, base hit into left. 1 run in. DeYoung held up at third. Munoz has made it a 3-0 Cardinal lead. He fought and fought and fought, worked it full, and picks up his second hit. 3-0 Cardinals.
Well, we kind of both getting what we want, Danny. I got DeYoung at third base with nobody out, and he's there because of the base hit past the diving Bryant into left field, and that's going to be it for John Lester.
Derek Holland, the former Giant, will come in. And that'll be it for Lester. Runners at the corners and still nobody out, and a 3-0 St. Louis lead. What's on tap, and a look at the start times. Those are St. Louis times. What's on tap presented by Budweiser. Saturday and Sunday from Oakland. Monday, Tuesday. That's on Fox Midwest. Derek Holland, the Chevy, called to the pen. Acquired from the Giants with cash. For cash. Going back and forth. And they got a lefty out of it.
And the ERA is high for Holland, but what the Cubs were interested in was the 182 batting average for left-handers against Holland. Of course, Wieters, a switch hitter, will bat from the right side, but Colton Wong next. Madden, I think, seeing this as an important part of this ball game.
Matt Wieters batting 182 from this side of the plate. 0 for 2 tonight with a pair of strikeouts. Cardinals are 3 for 6 with runners in scoring position tonight.
Well, I wanted 4, you want 5, so let's see what happens.
And that's outside, and it's 1-2. Holland pitched with Texas. He was a part of the Rangers club in 2011 that lost to the Cardinals in the World Series. The White Sox a year ago, the Giants part of this year, and now the Cubs. 2-2. Matt Carpenter picked up his first hit during his rehab process. RBI double in the 3rd inning for Memphis, scoring Harrison Bader. And Marcell Ozuna 2 for 2. And now a 2-2 pitch. Wieters sends a fly ball out to deep right. At the wall. Gone! It's gone! 3-run homer. Wieters.
There's the 3-run home run you wanted.
And I got it. Ten home runs for the backup catcher. The BJC Healthcare difference maker, Matt Wieters. And from the right side, his 4th home run, a total of 10. And he's done that in 129 at bats. Wong, base hit into right. 5 straight have reached in the inning for St. Louis. And Colton Wong is 3 for 3 and doing it against left-handed pitching.
And 11 Cardinal hits in this game. And they still haven't walked yet. Since when did you say? 1974 was the last time they walked?
This stretch, I think it's 129 at bats now.
Oh, I got that mixed up. 1974 was the other longest streak they had. So it's been a long time. But you know what? If they're hitting, I prefer this.
6-0 as Flaherty gets down the bunt. This will be his 5th sacrifice of the year. Kemp to the bag, covering. And the batter is Tommy Edman. Flaherty's done a little bit of everything tonight. Gets the bunt down. Now the top of the lineup, Tommy Edman, who is 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored. Hitting .281 from this side of the plate. Brad Brock, the right-hander, throwing for the Cubs and getting loose in their pen. Cardinals in game number 108 are 57-50 this year, trying to go to 8 games above 500 and finish up tonight in first place. Edman on the first pitch, a fly ball into right. Castellanos makes the catch. Wong tagging up from second to third. The final line on John Lester tonight, 5+, pitched into the 6th. 5 runs, all earned, 9 hits. Struck out 6, no walks. Fowler hitless tonight, and he's 0 for 3. Down and in. Wieters becomes the 7th switch hitting catcher in the history of baseball. 7 or more seasons with double digits in home runs. Posada, Simmons, Veritek, Victor Martinez, Hundley, Tettleton, and now Matt Wieters. And Fowler hits it down the right field line and out of play. That's impressive.
And you think about his home run rate here with the 10 home runs and really less than a quarter of a season of playing. You put that over a full-time season, that's a 40+ home run pace. That's how good he's been as a backup catcher. He's been more than that, hasn't he?
Popped up again into right. Castellanos with room, almost the identical spot of the ball that Edman hit. Big inning for St. Louis. They pick up 4 runs, and 3 of the 4, 1 swing of the bat, Matt Wieters. Folks here at Busch loving it. Back in St. Louis, and Jack Flaherty. Boy, has he been good tonight. He had a no-hitter with 1 out in the 6th. Gave up a base hit to Castellanos, and that is the only hit he's allowed. If you just joined us, it was a clean hit to right. Matt Wieters with a home run to right field and a 3-run shot. And here is Rizzo, and let's check in with Jimmy.
Yeah, Jack Flaherty has been on a roll over his last 4 starts, obviously, tonight. Mike Schilt told me some things are apparent when Jack is pitching well. Schilt said his body language is better. He's in control is a good way to put it. Schilt told me when Jack's under control, his slider is better, good depth to it, and it's around the plate. Schilt also said Jack is locating his fastballs on both sides of the plate better now, and his curveball is better. Dan Schilt says for Jack, it's all about being under control. Clearly he is tonight.
Furthers the point that you were making earlier about the delivery of Jack Flaherty.
Well, it's repeatable, that's for sure. That's the phrase that pitching coaches will use. They want you to be same spot repeatable, and that's how you get command. That's how you're sharp. That's how you don't make mistakes, because you're not searching for the release point out of a different delivery. But his delivery's been sound. Really haven't seen him work out of the stretch very much. And he has been in command throughout. Been fun to watch. Everything's worked. Off-speed deliveries.
He has not won a game since May 14th. There was a ball game at Atlanta in which the offense supplied 10+. And in that game, I think he gave the Cardinals 5 or 6 that night, and you were thinking, well, with a big lead, that's where you want him to give you your 7 or 8 and save a bullpen. Regardless, May 14th is the last time that he has won a ball game. Popped up right side and out of play.
That was pitch number 91, and part of the reason he hasn't won some games is because he hasn't gotten deep enough.
He actually had a 4-inning game where he hadn't given up a run and came out because the pitch count was high.
In the current span of 12 starts without a win, longest by Cardinals since Anthony Reyes back in 2007, and a World Series hero in 06. Now working as a firefighter, Anthony Reyes in California.
Anthony was our first flat-billed cap guy, wasn't he?
He's the one that comes to mind. Put in play to second. Long. Baez hustling down the line.
Can't really do that with a fireman's hat, can you?
No, sir. Sunday, August 11th. Pirates are here. And the Cardinals and Parkway Socks by Stance are proud to partner and produce stadium exclusive socks for 30,000 fans. And that'll be the giveaway on the 11th of August. The Cardinals mentioned a lot about the 5 games coming up. 2 with Oakland and 3 with the Dodgers. They'll come home, take on Pittsburgh, and then have another road trip. It's only a 3-game homestand, so get those tickets the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th. Then it's 2 with Kansas City and 4 with the Cincinnati Reds. Going to be on the road. Here's an 0-1 pitch to Wilson Contreras. And the 1-1 pitch. Matt Wieters has the big hit in the game, but he's also called a good game too. And something you got to think about when a pitcher is having a night like Flaherty. It's a rhythm to it. It's an agreement with the catcher of what you're throwing. The confidence in what he's putting down with the fingers. The confidence to throw pitches in the dirt.
It's a zone. And you have to be in that zone with somebody else, the guy behind the plate. You're in it together. You are understanding nuances and seeing things that others aren't seeing and others can't see. It's why managers and pitching coaches can't call pitches. I know folks think they do, but they don't. They would not even think about doing that because they know that the catcher is even feeling where the hitter is in the box. The pitcher is seeing things. The pitcher understands his feel on a given night, and you got to trust these 2 guys.
The 1-2 swing and a miss. Strikeout for Flaherty. 9 tonight through 7. He has been dominant here in game 3. It's 6-0. Cardinals about it. The Cubs 11-1, and they lead 6-0 with first place on the line tonight here in August at the NL Central. The winner of this ball game will be in sole possession of first place. Brad Brock is the new pitcher, right-hander in for Chicago. Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri.
I have 6 check marks now, Dan, written next to the key to the game today, which was Cardinals getting key hits. Not just the early ones, but several in the 6th inning. They have 11 of them, but several of them key hits, and maybe none keyer than the Wieters 3-run home run.
It's Martinez, Goldschmidt, and DeYoung. John Lester pitched into the 6th, did not record an out. His line 5+, 5 runs on 9 hits, 6 strikeouts, no walks. Then it was Derek Holland. He came in, and the first batter that he saw was Matt Wieters. Wieters a 3-run homer. That closed the line on Lester. Holland 1 inning, 1 run on 2 hits. No strikeouts and no walks, and he gives way to Brad Brock. Brock last pitched on Sunday. He was an all-star with Baltimore in 2016 and now in his first year with the Chicago Cubs. Flaherty 7 strong innings tonight, and boy did they need it. Cardinals will have Dakota Hudson in game 1 against Mike Fiers, former Milwaukee Brewer, who's 9-3 for Oakland on Saturday. And then it's Wainwright and Daniel Mengden on Sunday. Michael Wacha back in the rotation. He'll go Monday night at LA. Big rip and fouled back by Martinez.
Mengen's the mustachioed one, is he not?
Correct. And somewhere Al Rabowski is nodding in approval.
Oh, yes.
Raleigh fingers too. Three-two, take it inside. Well, we talk about it a lot. A catcher can get you those borderline pitches
by framing it.
If he catches this might be a strike. Whoop.
Bottom part of the zone. Trying to pull it up a little bit. Probably just caught it right there. It would have been a strike.
First walk for the Cardinals in 133 plate appearances. First inning on Saturday, the last time they drew a walk.
And I go back to something you said earlier, because I hang on every word you say.
Oh, yeah.
Baseball not calling the low strike very often in 2019.
Runner goes Martinez, and he has a stolen base, his second. Second of the year for Jose Martinez. How about that?
I didn't see it coming, and neither did the pitcher Brock. Doesn't even check him. Now they're holding him on, and he just took off. He just stole that on the pitcher.
Nothing in 2. Turns into a strikeout on Goldschmidt. Where were you on your thoughts on when Munoz had the 2 steals against Pittsburgh in a big lead the other night?
The word I used was that was in Pittsburgh, correct?
Yes.
I believe I used, we discussed it pretty heavily on the radio side. I said it's a tweener for me. It's early in the game. It's a huge lead, but it's early in the game. And my thought is I probably wouldn't go, but I would understand if he did. So I wouldn't be mad about it so much. Now maybe the Pirates might be, but I don't think the same unwritten rules from 50 years ago apply to 2019, because it's just a different game now.
Completely different game. And the 1-0 pitch now to DeYoung. Base hit into left. 2-hit night for Paul DeYoung.
And let me clarify what I mean by different. You still have to pitch well, hit well, catch the ball. And so there's some things inherently baseball that haven't changed since Joe DiMaggio, Ty Cobb, and the St. Louis Brown Stockings in 1867. I mean, there's certain principles of the game that have changed, but the way you try to score, the use of analytics, it has evolved in 2019. And you have to frankly say players are stronger up and down the lineup. 3-run home runs much more possible with anybody in the lineup. So every run you can get, you get. We can debate whether the baseball is harder or not. Some say it is, some say it isn't. The bats certainly are. Dimensions are different, no foul territory, so more offense possible in a game, so you don't stop scoring runs. That would be that argument.
Also, Pittsburgh And that particular night, Wainwright was not sharp, and he was making that start. They had the best numbers in terms of average for the month of July at that point of any team in the National League. And you couple that with Wainwright not overly sharp. You're early in a game. But again, I do see both sides of it.
I see both sides of it. I believe that it was meant as a compliment to Pittsburgh and probably didn't feel like one.
Probably right.
Although they had a lot of other things to feel when they played the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, they took it out on them.
They sure did. And vice versa.
Amir Garrett went after their entire team. Here's a 1-1 instead of check on the runner at first. John Wensick. He's a former NHL player, played some time here in St. Louis, part of the Blues alumni. When he played, he was a tough guy. And there's great video of him at one point in hockey where he skates over to the bench of the opposition and says, "Come on, let's do it." And he's got the hands out like who wants it. And no one came out to fight him. And it's one of the great scenes I've seen. But I've never seen one player go over to a dugout and say, "Let's go."
Suspensions were handed down, I understand, today, and some pretty hefty ones for that fight, including David Bell getting 6 games. Kella, I believe, got 10. So, and of course, the Cleveland Indians aren't happy about it because they traded for one of the players in that fight, Yasiel Puig. I believe he got 3.
He did.
So I'll say that I hate to advocate fighting and say that it's a wonderful thing to do, but I just understand it, Dan. It's competitive. Guys are playing for keeps here. I mean, this is your job. You're trying to do the best you can, and emotions run high, and sometimes it's just hard to negate them. Now, and as a viewer, I must say I watched Garrett charge their bench half dozen times. I was just glued to it. It's almost a must-see video.
Me too.
I'm not sure if I'm proud of it. I'm just telling you I watched it.
Right. Cardinals started the runner on 3-2. Munoz at the plate. They do so again, and Gyro hits it out to left, and it's caught on the track by Schwarber. Munoz gave it a ride. DeYoung back to the bag. A run will score, and that makes it 7-0 Cardinals. Matt Wieters, one of the biggest hits of this ball game. And the Cardinals have 12 of them, and that one a 3-run shot against Derek Holland. And that was the first batter that Holland had. And now it's Phelps. They just picked up David Phelps. He'll come into the ball game for Chicago with Matt Wieters due up. Summer's in St. Louis. They're hot, hot, hot. So add a Cardinals tank top to your wardrobe. It'll be Friday, August 9th. That is also 90s night here at the ballpark. 30,000 fans, 16 and older, go home with a stadium exclusive tank top presented by Cooper Tires and Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. 33rd consecutive crowd of 40,000 plus. 46,811 tonight. 46811.
Phelps came over from the Blue Jays. He's the Chevy call to the bullpen. There's his numbers in Toronto, and fortunate for him, he goes from the Blue Jays to the Cubs and doesn't have to get a new glove since it's blue. And probably not new sleeves either. He can probably wear those same sleeves, although that one does say Cubs, I can see.
Hadn't thought of that.
Well, you break in a glove, Dan, you start in spring training. You know how guys love their gloves.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get traded to, let's say, the Reds, and you've got a blue glove. What do you do?
Cash my checks.
You're so practical.
Happy I have a job in the big leagues. Somebody wanted me.
Okay. I bet you'd be a little more demanding.
I would. Here's a 1-1, and Wieters pops it foul, and it's 1-2.
People wonder about that. Several players will use the same glove for several years because you're comfortable with it, and you're always kind of breaking in a new one. And typically they'll give you 2 or 3 gloves a year if you need one or if you want one, and you store them up, give them away, whatever you do with them.
Wieters going the other way. 2-hit night, 2 for 4. First 2 plate appearances, strikeouts, and since then 3-run homer from the right side of the plate, and that one served into left from the other side of the plate.
What an offensive night, really, for everybody. Wieters the home run right-handed, now the base hit the other way left-handed. And the guy at the plate, well, he's just 3 for 3, that's all.
You know, I think of Wieters and Wong specifically and what they have done going to left field against the shift. I mean, it's a conscious effort to try to do it. Ronel Ravello is on deck. He would pinch hit for Jack Flaherty, who was terrific here tonight. Runners at first and second. Cardinals with 13 hits.
Dan, you think about the tweener that you and I had discussing, do you leave Jack Flaherty in or not? But I think the length of this inning and all that's gone on, and they've already made the decision, but they would have taken him out by this time anyway. And it's not just the extra run, but it's the time sitting out. I think they would have called it a night for Flaherty. Either way.
Well, you think about this lineup in 5, 6, 7, and 8 in the order tonight. That's DeYoung, Munoz, Wieters, and Wong. Combined to go 10 for 14, 4 runs, and they've driven in 6 of the 7. The 1-2 pitch upcoming now to Colton Wong. Trying to make it a 4-hit night. And that's out of play. Colton Wong not only has been on base 20 straight games, but he's trying to pick up his first ever 4-hit night. He's never had that in 2019.
I think he's like everybody else in the Cardinal lineup. They're just happy to not have to face Kyle Hendricks again. Hendricks was so good last night, so many bad at-bats, and what a difference a night makes.
.275 the average with runners in scoring position. .270 now overall. Misses in. I mean, you look up and you say, all right, our second baseman is hitting .270 now and playing elite defense.
And stealing bases.
He's got 15 on the year to lead the club.
And a good number of RBIs for somebody hitting in his spot at 41.
The 2-2 pitch to Wong. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Phelps gets the strikeout, but in this rivalry, whoever wins tonight, sole possession of first place. A lot of smiles in that Cardinal dugout. 13 hits for St. Louis and 1 for the Cubs against Flaherty. Lane Thomas takes over in center field. Fowler shifts from center to right. And the new pitcher for the Cardinals is left-hander Tyler Webb. His 41st appearance in our Chevy called to the pen.
Been busy lately. Had a nice outing against the Astros. And we also saw Tyler here last night. Been pretty stingy giving up hits. And I think a perfect time to use him. You don't really need to go to your 8th inning guy and your 9th inning guy with the lead you have. At least you trust him with it. I thought maybe this would be a Cardinal debut night. They have a lefty out there who we've not seen. Alberto Mejia.
And there still might be.
It still might be. And there's the Hyundai pitch arsenal for Tyler Webb. Used his changeup very well, including against left-handers.
Schwarber fouls it back. Lane Thomas will go into the 9th position in the Cardinal lineup, and Webb going into the 3rd spot, occupied at one point by Jose Martinez, who drove in the first run of this game. 1-2 the count on Schwarber. Swing and a miss and a strikeout. Cubs have struck out 10 times in this ball game.
And I love the fact that he threw him an off-speed pitch. He threw a changeup lefty to lefty, then threw a fastball to get him. So the fastball is just 90, but he's late on it. And he's late on it because he saw a changeup the pitch before. And several people in this game, Dan, and I do not understand it at all, believe wholeheartedly a left-hander should not throw a left-handed batter a changeup. They think that you throw the ball down in the zone. That's where lefties like it. And you're just asking for trouble. But if you've got a good changeup, I say throw it.
I don't disagree.
Because
it's everything. A good pitch. It's a good pitch.
And if it happens to be one of your better pitches, then of course you should throw it.
Edman giving chase, and it's out of play. Tony Kemp at the plate.
Otherwise, the hitter eliminates one of the possibilities of what you're going to see. He and I chatted about it on the road, Tyler and I, the last road trip, about that subject. Why, I just don't understand why. He said that he's had some coaches tell him, as I did, don't throw changeups to a left-handed. Well, I'd like to survive.
Well, you got to go with your best, right? Into the shift. That's DeYoung. That's out number 2. A reminder that Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. And by Ford, the official car and truck of the Cardinals. Almora will pinch hit for Phelps. You would have to think, because of the year that Hayward has put together and his versatility to play right or center, the playing time of Almora will be cut with the addition of Castellanos. Very good defensive player, Albert Almora.
So the Cubs are going to have to decide, is he destined to just be a 4th outfielder guy for us, or is that somebody that next year needs to be somewhere else and we move him and gets a piece back? That's a decision for down the road, but I agree that with Castellanos here now, he's going to play. And Hayward's going to play.
Tapped foul. You could have a scenario here where Webb would stay in the game and either finish the game out or stay in the game because Hayward is due up first in the 9th and stay lefty-lefty. We'll find out. A 1-2-3 inning and a couple of strikeouts for Webb. Thomas, Edman, Fowler coming up. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. It has been all St. Louis tonight. 13 hits, a 7-run lead. They've allowed just 1 hit. And Tyler Chatwood is our Chevy called to the pen. Almora stays in the ball game and takes over in center field. Lane Thomas came into the game in the 8th inning, the top half. He'll lead it off, and then Edman and Fowler. Chatwood, the 5th pitcher used by Chicago tonight.
We've seen him several times. We've seen him as a starter, and one of the things that I think about with Chatwood is just a high walk rate. And you know that doesn't work well for a reliever, and it really doesn't work well for a starter either. But he's got just a heavy sinker that it goes down, down, down. He typically keeps the ball in the infield, but if you can lay off the pitch that's about knee high and make him get it up, you got a better chance of handling him.
And a base hit for Thomas into center.
Well, Lane Thomas obviously read the scouting report and knows that he's going to go down in the zone, so he goes down and gets it and gets the bat head on it. 96 miles an hour, pretty hefty fastball, but he hits it out front and hits it hard.
Chatwood is in Hayward's spot. The leadoff hitter for the Cubs. His spot first, looking ahead to the 9th, and now Tommy Edman. A 1 pitch. Now 0-2. Mike Myers, right-hander, throwing for St. Louis in their pen, and the 0-2 pitch in the dirt. Contreras couldn't find it. Thomas takes advantage. We haven't seen it at this level, but that young man at first base can really run. I mean,
yes,
he can fly.
Yeah, and you know, you keep playing, you keep running. He's saying it's his fault. Just lost it. Didn't know where it was.
Now it changes what Edman may want to do in this at bat. And I've talked about him. I classify him as a ball player. And he's trying to pull the ball to the right side even with a 7-run lead. Little things.
I don't think he plays any. I don't think he knows how any way to play other than the right way. I mean, I just think he's a very well-developed player, smart player.
Swing and a miss, and the ball got away. And so Tommy Edman is aboard.
Well, apparently not only is Chatwood hard to hit, but he's hard to catch. That nasty downward movement, and Contreras should have had that one too. He just seems beat up a little bit.
I thought he was beat up a lot. The game was tied, and runner at third, and Lester had a bunch of pitches in the dirt, and to his credit, kept it in front. So it's been a long night. Ruled a wild pitch, and now Fowler. And runners at first and third, nobody out here in the home half of the 8th.
I don't think we've seen our last pitch get away from Contreras this inning.
You know, you'd have to imagine, and you can even see Contreras on a couple of these has not been comfortable in receiving it, but a guy that throws this hard with big sink.
Yes.
I mean, that is tough to catch, even at this level.
Well, you have to stay with your fundamentals. You have to get down to block it, but
You've been out there a long time. Even that one, I mean, just barely holding on. He's stabbing at it, and certainly understandable.
3-0 the count on Dexter Fowler. Webb spot due up next. Ravello at the on deck circle, and there's a strike. 50 and a third innings for Chatwood this year, and 27 walks.
Too many.
Yep. 3-1 pitch, and he's added to it. The bases are loaded and nobody out. Reinel Ravello over the weekend picked up his first ever Major League Extra base hit, and then he doubled off of Craig Kimbrell last night. You know where I'm going with this.
Oh, yeah.
You're setting up that great call that I love so much.
You're thinking grand slam.
Grand slam up.
I can add the A. Probably an M. So double M.
Yeah.
With the A.
Yeah.
All right. First pitch to Reinel Ravello. And strike one. Closes the book on Webb, a scoreless top half of this inning with a couple of strikeouts as the Cubs win 1-2-3. The 0-1. Now 0-2. Cardinals have 4 shutouts in their favor this year. April 9th against the Dodgers 4-0. May 6th against the Phillies 6-0. June 17th against Miami 5-0. And July 15th, the last one, 7-0 over the Pirates. That was the game that Michaelis went the distance, and all have been right here at Busch. 0-2 the count on Ravello.
Almost saw another one, didn't we? That's a great play right there, considering how hard the inning has been already. Catchers are so athletic. We talk about shortstops being that way, but man, oh man, you've got to be quick. And you're in a crouch, for goodness sakes, for 3 hours. I can't do that for 2 minutes.
Chatwood, the highest walk rate per 9 in baseball. Nearly 5 per 9. And remember, when they signed him, they thought, okay, big arm, get him out of Coors Field, get him out of Denver, and with that sinker, that'll play. But those walks and wildness came with him. 2-2 the count on Ravello. The bases are loaded and nobody out. Full count from 0-2 to 3-2. And Ravello, why not a grand slam for a guy that has spent so many years in the minor leagues, countless games and bus rides and the long nights. And prior to this year, he had been on a 40-man roster with a couple of other teams. Got the chance with the Cardinals and trying to make the most of it. 3-2. Bouncer to Bryant. Out there, the turn and a double play. Run does score, and it's now an 8-0 lead. The batter is Goldschmidt with a runner at third base. extended his hitting streak to 10 with a single to center field in the 6th inning and also scored a run. And Goldschmidt drives it out to right, backing up Castellanos to make the catch. We head to the 9th, and it's all St. Louis. Well, we talked about it at the very top, trying to come through with runners in scoring position, and the Cardinals did that. 5 for 13, and they drive in 7 in that spot, and Budweiser plays of the game.
One key hit after another, and there's a home run in that mix, but there's also a lot of big base hits. The home run came from Matt Wieters. That was really a big nail in the coffin. The 3-run shot the other way. Wieters and Colton Wong doing a lot of damage at the bottom of the Cardinals lineup.
So 8-0 our score. 1 hit allowed, a clean single with 1 out in the top of the 6th by Nicholas Castellanos.
I'm glad to see
the only hit.
Yeah, that's it. I'm glad to see Mike Myers get an opportunity here. I think you've got to find out what you have in Mike. You know what you had in him, but he's still kind of on his way back from being out a long time, so you just want to know whether he's going to be effective and have that big fastball that we've seen, and see how that will play in late innings.
The pinch hitter is Ian Happ, the switch hitter. A couple of starts in this series. Fly ball left side and out of play. Last time the Cardinals had a ball game in which they allowed just 1 hit to the Cubs, it was 1988. Joe McGrain, a 1-hit shutout at Wrigley. It's only happened, by the way, 8 times where they've had 1 hit ever. 2,431 games. And that's part of the storyline right now with the Cubs. Winning away from Wrigley. Can they do enough in the final 2 months to get into postseason play? And for Joe Maddon, trying to figure out, do they have enough offense too? On paper, you would say absolutely.
You said 0-8-1 in series.
And their last 9 on the road.
Don't win today. 10 series in a row that you don't win. I think that's kind of stunning right now for the Cubs to have to deal with, and their offense should be better than it's shown, and it could be. I mean, they could catch fire.
The 2-2, the fly ball to Thomas in center. 1 away here in the top of the 9th. They had been very tight games 1 and 2. Cardinals won game 1, 2-1. Chicago a shutout, 2-0, and now the Cardinals here in game 3 trying to return the favor. So a series in which, you know, the Cubs, again, not a lot of runs. Here's Castellanos. And the first pitch taken for a ball. He has the only hit, a clean single to right field. Line to third, and Edman is there. Flaherty, 7 innings, 1 hit. Webb a scoreless 8th. Myers has gotten the first 2. And Tommy Edman cannot feel his left hand.
106 off the bat. I was wondering whether he kind of had that look at the end of, I'm not sure I want to catch this. But he did. He's a good teammate.
Bodie, the pinch hitter. Last time the Cardinals had a one-hitter, Jaime Garcia, against Milwaukee in 2016. Here's a 1-0 pitch to David Bodie, the pinch hitter. And it's 1-1. A win, and the Cardinals are in sole possession of first place. Also, Milwaukee lost today. Here's a 1-1 pitch to Bodie. I also think about the game that Shelby Miller had, which was a leadoff base hit to Eric Young Jr. And then he went 27 up, 27 down in a dominant performance by Shelby. This has been a dominating performance by Flaherty, Webb, and now Myers.
Been fun to watch. Complete performance for the Cardinals.
The 2-1 pitch to Bodie. Flaherty did walk 2, gave up the 1 hit, and that's been it. He struck out 9. Webb, 2 strikeouts in his inning, and now Myers trying to finish off Chicago. They will play host to Milwaukee at Wrigley starting tomorrow. The 3-1 pitch. In the air. Right field. Fowler. He has got it. The Cardinals with a combination of Flaherty for 7. Webb for 1. Myers for 1. 1 hit allowed. It's a shutout. The Cardinals take 2 of 3, and they're in sole possession of first place.
You could not have written a better script for the final game of this series. The Cardinals take the series at home against the Cubs. They get past the loss yesterday, turn the page, and do everything right today. Jack Flaherty, all kinds of credit, but you've got to give a lot to the offense, too. They pounded out a total of 14 hits in this game.
It's off to the post-game show, and then off to the West Coast, Oakland and L.A. 8-0 the final. Post-game show next.